Hi there, my name's Bryony and I'm the head of coaching here at Relish, and today I'm talking to you about Relationships 101, how to repair trust and fix what's broken. So what does trust mean? According to the dictionary, it's a firm belief in the reliability or strength of someone or something. In the context of a relationship, that means our partner. And sure, definitions are great, but understanding what it feels like is an important distinction. Essentially, we can't have a relationship without trust. According to clinical psychologist, professor and author Andrea Benoit, trust is necessary for emotional intimacy and a healthy, close relationship. You can't wonder where your partner is really going when they're telling you that they're running to the store. You can't ask yourself what their ulterior motive is when they give you a compliment. You can't feel anything other than yourself when you're with them. It might take work at first, but in the end, trust is simply the lens through which we see our partners. So how do we know if we fully trust our partners? Now that you have a broad understanding of what trust means in your relationship, it might be helpful to paint a picture of what it actually looks like. Since trust and its impact cast such a wide net, it's pretty central to most aspects of a relationship. No matter the scenario, trust is a factor. And these are some specific questions you can reflect on and decide what kind of trust you and your partner have. Firstly, are you having open conversations? But what does open really mean? It's not about being honest about which sub shop you went to for lunch. It's about something much deeper. It's about being able to let your guard down and share things about yourself that you consider sacred. Your fears, insecurities, feelings of doubt, the things that would feel completely inappropriate if you weren't talking to someone you implicitly trust. And is your partner your top priority? And vice versa. It's very easy to claim or think of yourself as a selfless person. To actually be a selfless person is a whole different story. So while putting your partner's needs before your own is something of a prerequisite to trust, we can take a moment to acknowledge the amount of effort that it takes. But hey, it's a worthy price to pay. When your partner takes time out of their workday to drive you to pick up your car from the shop, for example, it's a seemingly small but significant road paved towards deeper trust. Next question, what's your eye contact like? So this might seem a bit obvious, cliched and consequential, but eye contact is incredibly important. When partners are able to look directly into each other's eyes when talking, it shows they have nothing to hide. Next question, are you active listeners? It's not all about sitting in silence, letting your partner vent, or even making eye contact, even though these are important. According to Irene Hansen-Savary's LMFT, active listening is, if practiced and mastered, the best gift you can give your partner. Next question, do you both feel comfortable admitting your mistakes? This one is framed around arguments and which direction you and your partner instinctively steer the conversation. When your partner calls you out, do you take a moment to digest before owning up to the mistake? Or do you fire off a return criticism to take the attention off yourself? In order to effectively solve problems in your relationship, you have to trust that any feedback your partner gives you has merit. Next question, how is your physical intimacy? This doesn't always have to be about between the sheets. It's the little things, a surprising kiss, holding hands, a hand on the small of your back, that show the extent of your bond. Next question, is your dynamic consistent? Some would argue that this is the most important aspect, but we'll say it's equally as important as the previous questions. We've all heard stories of our friends in past relationships, and you might have experienced it yourself, where one partner hits a breaking point and demands a change. The shock of that initial conversation does cause immediate change from the partner being asked of it, but over time the behaviour starts to fade and the dynamic returns to its old self. That's why we need consistency. If you need physical intimacy, active listening, eye contact or open dialogue from your partner, that doesn't mean 1 week out of the month. Trust means being able to count on it. So how can we build towards trust? Well, now you know what trust looks like. We're sure you've identified some gaps in your relationship. But first of all, don't sweat it. Trust isn't a switch that you flip on and leave alone. It has to be nurtured, meaning that our work is kind of never done. As soon as we stop trying, that's when the trust will start to fade. Luckily, we've got some tips to help you focus your effort. Step 1, if you're going to communicate, mean it. As human beings, we have from an early age realised that we can easily manipulate our words to achieve desired results. For example, when your mum asked if you made your bed, you could answer yes before you even touched a throw pillow. Even though the truthful answer to this was no, your brain quickly decided that a small fib would help to reduce friction in the conversation. Not a big deal, right? Well, until those small insignificant fibs start to build into an entirely disingenuous dynamic. Add too many of these up in the context of your relationship, always claiming to be home from work on time but being late, promising to stop by the door but something always comes up, and trust starts to fade. So if you're looking to increase trust with your partner, you have to be extremely mindful about following through on the things that you say. Step 2, a nice, easy path towards vulnerability. There will be opportunities in your relationship where you'll be offered either the pain-free, meaningless route or the painful, meaningful route. On the pain-free, meaningless side are moments that you decide to give your partner surface-level lip service. My day was okay, nothing too crazy. On the painful, meaningful side are moments that you might decide to open yourself up and let your partner know what's going on really. Today was tough, I got into trouble at work, etc. These are the moments that add up and create a more open bond between you and your partner. Step 3, respect is the name of the game. There's a fine line between being honest and being plain nasty. A lot of the time we justify saying hurtful things because we think, well, it would be worse if I lied to them, which we know in our heart of hearts that we're really just kind of selfishly getting off our chest. Our partner deserves our respect first and foremost. So when our instincts tell us that we need to unleash a barrage of honesty before we can start rebuilding trust, remember that the packaging of your words is just as important as the words themselves. This doesn't mean that you have to be awkward and professional with your partner, but it does mean that you must remember that every time you treat them in a way that demeans or violates their basic dignity and respect, you do harm your connection, creating a larger barrier between you and their trust. Step 4, don't always expect the worst. We're talking about the benefit of the doubt and how you should give it to your partner. Even if your trust has been broken, making a concerted effort to believe what your partner says is the healthiest starting point. Starting from a place of doubt adds a toxic layer to the communication that distracts you from the actual point. It won't be easy at first, especially if you have a partner coming back from things like substance abuse or infidelity. But the exercise is in letting go, forgiving, and building your trust back from a place of empathy. You don't have to waste your energy assuming the worst in your partner, because if that's the case, they will reveal this to you on their own. You have to give them a shot to succeed before you can even think about rebuilding trust. Step 5, have the tough conversations when you need to. Sometimes feelings are impossible to ignore, and when those times come, you have to express it. Having the confidence to discuss issues that aren't necessarily comfortable creates a maturity in your relationship that will pay dividends down the line. Being able to talk about emotional issues without becoming emotional, shouting verbal attacks or shutting down, is the precedent that you want to set. And sure, as we stated earlier, you want to present your qualms with a level of respect that will make the conversation feel collaborative, but you still have to go for it. Plenty of couples are happy keeping conversations on the surface, refusing to rock the boat, and in turn leaving trust on the surface as well. You want that trust to go as deep as it can, and it will only get there if you open up and let it in. Step 6, take a leap together. This can be anything: a backpacking trip, a commitment to an ambitious but rewarding diet, watching a movie genre that you've typically ignored. Whatever it is, you're doing it together. Shared experiences are the most natural way to build trust with your partner. There's nothing to talk or think about. It's about simply getting out of your comfort zone with someone else. Stack enough of these experiences together and you'll find yourself surprised by the trust that comes. Did we mention this can be something sexual? Taking a leap with something as intimate as sex is a shared experience so personal that it would be nearly impossible not to feel closer because of it. Also, according to a 1973 study by Dutton and Aaron, fear-induced arousal can actually increase your sexual attraction. So, just saying. Step 7, remember it's a two-way street. You might be feeling the urge to sit back and wait for your partner to show you how they've changed. And when we spell it out like that, you realise how utterly silly it would be to think that this all falls onto them. This doesn't mean that you wait for an act of service and then promptly return that act of service like you're in a binding trust contract. The balance will constantly shift because it's impossible to predict when your partner will need to lean on you and vice versa. Sure, it sounds hard, But the beautiful part is when your partner shares the same outlook, suddenly you have a relationship built on unconditional support, love, and trust. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and thanks for watching. Bye.